everybody, Jeff Antoniuk here. Welcome to Guided Listening. So this week we're going to listen to some Duke Ellington, the Duke Ellington Orchestra, and we're going to listen to Ben Webster soloing on this great rhythm changes tune called Cottontail. Rhythm changes meaning it's a song written over the form and the chord sequence of a song called I Got Rhythm by George and Ira Gershwin. And that form and that chord sequence was so much fun to play on. It was such a great shape that other musicians would write their own compositions over it. Thelonious Monk wrote Rhythming. Charlie Parker wrote Anthropology. Horace Silver wrote Room 608. And we can go on and on and on. Duke Ellington wrote Cottontail. So yeah, so we're going to check this out. It's a short, 3-minute plus arrangement. Fantastic arrangement, some really great playing from Ben Webster. We'll probably listen to it twice and just sort of key in on some different things. And by the way, why this song? I got thinking about this song because this is one we're doing at the Jazzwire Summer Summit. So if you're watching this in real time, this moment, I am teaching the virtual session. So we totally sold out the virtual session, people attending from around the world. We've had a blast. We've done virtual workshops like this many times. We started doing it before COVID. We did it through COVID. We continue on because it works like crazy. It's very valuable. So, get in touch with us if this is something you may want to be involved in the future. Like I said, we're sold out for this one. And then next week, if you're watching this in real time, July, 18th, there's a concert on the 18th, but the workshop 19th through 22nd, 2023, we have the in-person session of the Jazzwire Summer Summit. We have 9 faculty. We have about 70 people coming from around the world. It's the busiest and most fun couple weeks in my life. So I'm going to try to stay conscious during this during this video because I've been pulling some long hours. The cool thing, Cottontail is one of the songs we're going to be playing. And the Blue Community lesson inside Jazzwire this week, I dug really deeply into some different approaches to use playing the bridge of rhythm changes. The last 3 lessons, we're playing the A section of rhythm changes. Does that sound interesting to you? If it does, sign up for the free trial of Jazzwire. Check out the lesson, and most importantly, check out the community. The lessons are great. Yes, good information there. But the power, how we get better isn't good lessons. How we get better is having a community around us that gets us practicing correctly. Having our coach or mentor hear us and keep us on the right path. Anybody can look at a YouTube video, get inspired, go try it for 3 minutes, get it wrong, the phone rings, whatever happens, we don't learn it, right? I mean, that's very typical. Why? Because there's no community around us. Jazzwire is about the community that gets us better as opposed to just endless information. Okay, let's listen to this thing. And as I said, we'll probably listen through it twice since it's nice and short and talk a little bit about arranging. We're going to talk a little bit about the soloing. There's a lot in here to dig into. This is Cottontail, Duke Ellington Orchestra, and we're going to hear Ben Webster on tenor sax. So this is our melody. What you need to listen to is how much momentum there is. This is like a freight train, isn't it? An attitude, good God. So check this out here, last A section. Into the solo. I guess I'm going to do this differently. Let's pause it there. So that was the melody of Cottontail. A, B, and then what the heck was it at the end? So it wasn't A, B, A. So Duke Ellington made this very interesting arrangement decision, for whatever reason, to not have the last A section be where it should. He had some different stuff, and it was shorter. So it was compacted. So that was an interesting, we could call it an edit. It wasn't an edit. It was his decision, but he decided to shorten things. Was that because the recording was going to be too long? Was that because he wanted to surprise us and get into that solo when we expected more melody? It's a very interesting decision. That is what arrangers and orchestrators and composers do. So let's take this thing back at the top. And what I was talking about is the the energy. And what does that mean? The forward momentum, how on top of the beat they were and just leaning into the wind. It was like 20 guys running down a hill, not walking down a hill, running down a hill at breakneck speed. What an amazing feel. That's an important thing to notice and to try to get into our own playing when we want it. Brushes too, right? It's not sticks on the cymbal. Subtle brushes. And here's the bridge, improvised. Check out the trumpet. Woo! Oh my gosh. And here's that weird 4-measure thing. Top of the form. Woo! Ben Webster. That sound and this tempo is not slow. And just how he's floating over top time-wise, I love it. Backgrounds. So that's the bridge. And he played a very motivic thing through the bridge. That was nice. That vibrato that he uses, that of the era for sure. It's cool. So he's playing a diminished sound over that major A section. Very slick. And there's that vibrato. It's actually kind of a false fingering on the saxophone that he's doing. These backgrounds on the bridge. And he played another very motivic thing on the bridge. On each of those chords, he kind of played the same thing. Neat. Okay, so we're out of the solo. And this is like a shout chorus, where all the horns are kind of shouting the same thing together. Here's the bridge. Baritone sax, Harry Carney probably on baritone sax. Last A section. Duke. And listen to that stride piano. Let's actually go back and listen to that. So that was sort of weird, and that sort of happens in this era of arranging where sometimes there's a lot of sort of disjunct things, that there's this and now there's that, and now there's this and now there's that. And, I think part of it is sort of what we were able to do with the length of recordings, trying to have interesting things happen a lot, maybe like these days with such quick edits in movies or in TV shows. That's of this era. Or if you think about a movie from the 1950s where a shot might last 90 seconds or a couple minutes, the same shot, right? That was of that era. So this is interesting. There's a shout chorus for 16 measures, 2 A sections, then a baritone solo, then 8 measures, and then a piano solo. But the cool thing about Duke's solo is how he's playing stride piano from an era even earlier than this. But Duke, and so many of the powerhouse piano players of his generation came from stride. Let's just go back to that moment. Baritone sax, this is the bridge. Now here comes Duke playing stride. Interesting, right? This, saxophone soli, spelled S-O-L-I. All the saxes playing together, voiced out. They're not playing unison. They're playing a chord, a 5-note chord or a 4-note chord. Classic big band sound, saxophone section. Whole chorus of this saxophone solo. It's a lot of fun. Now, brass, saxophones keep playing. So now there's a conversation going on. Let's stop there. So we had a chorus of that saxophone solo. So what Duke Ellington most likely did, I've written plenty of these. Typically, you write the melody you want. You write a chorus of a solo, basically. Then you go back and you fill in all the parts underneath the solo and pick out all those harmonies. If there were 90 notes in that solo, in that melody, and there were at least 90, you have to come up with 90 voicings. Every note gets its own voicing, pretty much. That approach. Pretty cool. And then in the next chorus, the brass started playing boo-gow, and then the saxophones would answer. So it was more of a percussive kind of thing, hits or shots, different parts of the country kind of talk about it differently. Those hits, and then the saxophones would kind of keep talking in between. So it was still the saxophone solo in a sense, but that energy of one part of the band yelling at the other part of the band, the other part of the band saying, no, 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 we got this. Pretty cool. Let's go back to that. And here's those hits. So can you hear that? Those two sections. Now it's the whole band together. Now it's whatever it is, 10, 15 horns playing the same thing. Oh, now we're out. Melody. A-A-B-A. And we're done. Okay, interesting. So we had the saxophone solo, which was very energetic. Then we had the brass yelling at the saxophones. That happens a lot. Cool, that built energy. Then we had the whole band playing together, saxophones and brass, I think, playing this unison line. And so if there were 10 notes there, all 10 notes were voiced out for every person on stage, pretty much, all the horns. Big as the big band gets, that sound. And then it came right down to the melody, but it wasn't the whole melody out. It was 8 measures and then actually a soft ending. So there's lots of interesting, I'd call them sort of quirky moments in this tune. How many different things Duke Ellington fit into like 3 minutes and 8 seconds or whatever this is. How big it was, how small it was, modern moments, stride piano moments, that sort of soft ending after all that yelling that was going on. Ben Webster's incredible solo, and I've heard it many times, but it makes me want to go steal some of that because there's just some fantastic. It's really a landmark solo. It's a very famous solo, and I've played transcriptions of it, but makes me want to go back and grab some of that. So maybe we'll just leave it right there. I hope I got you sort of excited to go back and listen to this, and you can find it in all the places where you find music. The famous Duke Ellington version of Cottontail with Ben Webster playing the solo. So yeah, just so much fun stuff to listen to. But the whole underlying thing is the energy and the momentum, like how forward those guys were leaning. But it still swung, of course. It didn't sound rushed or anxious or compressed or anything like that to me. That energy. And so how do we play? And now not every song is supposed to have, just nuts kind of energy like this, but this is that song. So how do we play in that way where it sounds moving forward but anxious? There's momentum, but it's not rushing. Wow. Or, we could talk about the Count Basie band. How do we lay back like the Basie band, but we don't drag? Or how do we make it not sound heavy? Whew. Yeah. Well, these men were masters, and women that were involved in these bands too. Typically in a lot of these bands, it was all men. The funny thing was, I got a call in the middle of this video from Sherry Miracle, who's one of our faculty members for the Summer Summit. If you don't know about Sherry, she's founded and led the Diva Big Band, all-women big band, for years and years and years, decades now. Sherry is one of the great big band drummers, and I'm so excited to be working with her soon, and I better give her a call because I want her to play like good stuff behind me. So, all right. Thank you. And I'm sorry that we don't have a spot left for you at the Summer Summit. There's some one-day positions. If you want to come in and observe, we can do that. So you can visit jazzwiresummit.com. And if you're here in the DC area, we can get you to come in, for a day or two here or there. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again soon.